The universe as I see it. The universe is a body. It has electrons that circle atoms, atoms that have certain properties. Those properties create all sorts of interactions between other atoms that create different and certain connections. Those connections create suns, planets, nebula, other spatial forms, and all sorts of things. The things that cannot be explained are life-supporting entities and intelligence. Those parts of the universe had to be created by or birthed by another intelligence. The chances are astronomical for the universe to throw these types of bodies into a way that would, for one, support life, and for two, create life. The type of creations that seem to be played with in scientific circles is the theory of evolution. This is astronomically impossible. If there was a sludge that supported life and there was an amoeba within it, there would be no chance at all that it would ever start creating its own limbs, bones, brain, etc., no matter how long it interacted with its surroundings. Going on, the ounces of weight that a person loses when that person dies is an indication of one's spirit. There is also an experiment that a friend of mine performed. This experiment used a voltmeter to measure the uses of someone's non-existent limb when he moved it. The voltmeter showed a great increase of voltage every few seconds. This result was our proof that there is a spirit that has weight and mass, but is not a material that the scientific community has identified. As far as we know, it has an electric charge. This is proof of a spirit. If the experiment is replicated, it will have the same results. As long as there is spirit, then there is organization and consciousness beyond our ability to detect. All of those spirits have choices, and if so, there is an intelligent communicative interaction between those spirits. If there are interactions between spirits, then there would be organizations of those spirits, just as we have here on Earth, like large areas of people who grow up believing the same things. Now their goals might vary based on their needs, but seeing as they are solely beings with thought and no bodies that need food, clothing, shelter, and other things, then I would assume that they only need one thing: food for thought. The more thoughts an individual spirit obtains, then the more intelligent the spirit becomes. Hence, spirits that are intelligent are more advanced in every way a spirit can be advanced, by design as being of pure thought and no body to take care of. Now, whether the spirit is selfish but intelligent is still a choice, and choices are always there to choose from. Seeing as there are basic laws that govern our universe, as in to every action there is an equal or opposite reaction, there would be a high chance, given the number of thoughtful beings in the universe, including spirits, that there would be a massively unselfish and intelligent being who would be wise enough to govern the masses of a universe using science and technology, and beings who would follow that individual's rule, including, other intelligences that aren't human. I'm not going to say the A word. So, this being would also be ultimately unselfish being would also be able to create spirits, people, other beings that aren't people, celestial bodies, and anything else that interacts with one another. There would also be an equal chance that there is an individual who is just as selfish as the governor of unselfishness, as the governor is unselfish. Given governor is the supremely unselfish thing. Given the number of spirits. The number of spirits are infinitely possible due to the time being infinite and the existence of consciousnesses having no beginning or end. The possibilities are endless, but there are only two choices, either selfish or unselfish. With each choice, a person has infinite possibilities, but one is an existence of a telltale heart in which the knowledge that you gain is used to better yourself, and the need to better yourself never ends. But the emptiness you have also never ends, because the knowledge that you have never reaches outside of yourself. This existence is that of selfishness. The flip side of the coin is that existence of unselfishness, in which the knowledge that you gain is used to better everyone around you as well as yourself. The need to better every person around you never ends, and the fullness of heart that you feel has no end either, because the knowledge that you have is always shared. This can be characterized as a feeling of Zen, Zion, and centered in Chi, as well as a slew of other types of things that mean pure in heart, pure in mind, and pure in body. As long as we have concluded that we have spirits, then the knowledge that our spirits and thoughts never die is correct. If there is a governor of all things spirit, material, and spiritual, as defined above, the purpose of the governor, who is completely unselfish, and therefore fit for the position of governor, is to share knowledge and gain knowledge, as well as govern the material and spiritual aspects of the universe without changing anything's ability to choose selfishness or unselfishness. So the next question is, how does one hear knowledge from the governor or the universe? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm sure you can make one up. I'll make one up too. That's how the governor understands that we are trying and need assistance. Don't spend all of your time thinking and trying to communicate with the governor of the universe, though. You need to do things like a baby and start out with, we need to, like looking and listening, experimenting, and trying things. Knowledge isn't solely gaining by communicating with the governor. Or, a lot of people call him God and Allah and things like that, and I'll get to that. Everything isn't solely gained by communicating with the governor. It's gained by experimenting with facts, looking at possibilities, trying things a new way each time, and creating items with all of the things we've been given by the governor on what we call the earth. You might also say that I'm calling up all things that I've listened to from over a lifetime of all sorts of sources, like everything I've learned so far through Bible and all that stuff, and church or whatever, whoever I talk to. Or you might say that I'm a religious person that have an agenda of my own. Neither are true. I'm simply using logic to determine how things would play out in an equal or opposite environment, using what I know of the way spirits don't interact with the physical world. Also, using the logic that with infinite space comes infinite possibilities, as long as there is the ability to think and act or interact in the first place. The, quote, first place, meaning the beginning of time, which there is none. Therefore, there always was someone who was able to think and interact with things. Whoever that someone was, or is, I call it the governor. Others call it God, Allah, Heavenly Father, and other things. The other character who I refer to is sometimes called Satan, the father of all lies and other names. I just call it selfish, because most of the definitions of Satan defines what it does and not what its character could actually be. If you were to think of an evil, a character would be if you were to think of an evil person. Now, as how a person who is alive on this earth and has a physical body figures out how to communicate with themselves, others, or spirits of authority, is completely up to them. Whether it be harm, self-harm, or harm to others, self-help or help to others, shouldn't be concern of anybody's. Yeah, harm is painful to others, but who knows if any harm to oneself? Like if I harm myself, who's to say it's painful or not? Only I know. So all things being equal, increase of knowledge and knowledge or pain or different things like help and pain. I'm interchanging the words painful, pain, and help and knowledge. So increase of knowledge or help and pain, and a lack or decrease of knowledge or help and pain through any means is 100% up to the person or people. And likewise, defense of an increase of knowledge, help, or pain, or decrease of knowledge, help, or pain through any means is also 100% up to the person or people. So in the end, it's up to the individual person or people helping the individual person to accept or deny what is being fed to them, whether it be harm or help. In the word knowledge, I call knowledge because all we do is receive harm and help, and that helps us gain knowledge. Like when we're trying to learn how to walk, or we always fall down, and that hurts, and so we learn not to fall down. And not only that, but if we didn't fall down, would we ever actually learn to walk? To accept or deny what is being fed to them, whether it be harm or help, once they are able to choose for themselves. I'm going to get on my soapbox here and kind of get into when we should be able to choose for ourselves. There's an increasingly obvious ability for children to make choices by the age of 8 through scientific knowledge of a chemical in the brain that is found more prevalent at that time. It is also blatantly obvious that children between the ages of 0 and 12 years old are soaking up more knowledge than any other age span throughout a person's history. Wouldn't it stand to be true that teaching a child all there is to know about math, science, languages, and tinkering, or any chosen one of those, by the age of 12 would be the ultimate goal of an advanced society? The rest of their time could be spent doing what they've learned within those years. Every child I've taught who were over the age of 12 began to become bored with school and rebellious and things like that, and they weren't bored with life. I've substitute taught children from the ages of 6 to 19 over the course of the last 3 years. What I found is that most children lose their vigor for education simply because they can't practice what they learned. I taught throughout 30 or more schools, from rich neighborhoods to poor neighborhoods all over Utah. The ability to obtain this knowledge would be easier for most children. Talking about math, science, and languages and all the tinkering, things like that, would be easy for most children. But we as a people tend to disregard the talents of children and wonder why they can't think like we want them to. We want them to have a long attention span, the ability to complete tasks all the way through, no matter what the task, and sit in a chair for an hour or two at a time. This is simply crazy for us to ask this of our children. But I'm going to get off my soapbox now and going on to the universe as I see it. We have 100% ability to choose as individuals and as groups. And seeing as there is 100% selfish a 100% selfish entity, sometimes called Satan, we now must use this ability to choose to be selfish or not to be selfish. As William Shakespeare stated, to be or not to be, that is the question. Now, seeing as there is another entity who is 100% unselfish, it is now our choice to be or not to be unselfish. Those are simple words and simple attributes.